You're watching Let's Chat.
You may remember about a month ago, both Tim Kelly and Kim White were here, and we were talking about their aspirations. And one of those folks will be Chattanooga's next mayor. That day, a month ago, they both agreed to be here today. For reasons unknown to us, the Kelly camp called in yesterday and said they would not be able to make it today. Kim White has agreed to appear. First of all, Kim, thank you for being here. We do appreciate you devoting a few minutes to us. I know life in your particular circle right now has got to be crazy.
Yeah, Chip, no, thank you for the opportunity. I think anything that we can do to get out the word that today's the last day of early voting, to talk more about our platform, it's positive, and it's always a pleasure sitting here talking with you.
Before we get into the campaign issues and specifics, I wanted to get your thoughts for a few seconds on Charles Coolidge. Wow, you and I were talking during the break. What a man.
Yeah, and what an amazing legacy. I wish I'd had an opportunity to meet him personally. I was involved with the Medal of Honor Museum and Center with their move. They moved to River City Space downtown. So I'm so glad that that is there and tells a story. But everyone needs to know the story of some of the heroes in our city, and he was definitely one.
School's only got a few weeks left, but that would be a great thing for history teachers or teachers of any subject to fill their students in.
Yes.
Mr. Coolidge, always a big supporter of fire, police, first responders, folks like that. Tell us where you stand on the fire and police issues. Number one, there's a lot of them. They all need to be more handsomely compensated than they are. And I think you have a plan for that, correct?
Yeah, I do. I have been a big proponent that we need to give our first responders more resources, not less, and was pleased to get the support of both police unions. Spoke to a large group of them yesterday. And they do need increased pay. I mean, every time I've been to a neighborhood meeting, what they've talked about is more and better trained police officers and police officers that look like the community. And the only way to get there is by making sure that we compensate them correctly. We are losing so many police officers, and quite honestly, the morale has really been down. They need a mayor that stands up beside them and has their back, and I am committed to do that. So addressing pay, addressing things like making sure they have the resources for training, making sure they have mental health professionals and addiction treatment specialists to work with them on their team.
Sure.
And yes.
You said more first responders that look like the community.
Yes.
Explain that.
Yeah, so we need more diversity. I know that in the past 2 weeks, Chief Roddy was commended for the last group of training, the group of officers that went through training, that it was the most diverse they've ever had.
Yeah.
But it's hard to recruit when, one, we don't pay them correctly, and we need more resources to do that. So I think it's really important that our police officers and the administration looks like our community.
What's the best way to address the diversity between some minorities and our law enforcement communities? Because it's there, you hear about it on a national level every day. Thankfully, not so much here, but it is problematic.
Right. So it really is about trust and building trust in the communities. And the way to do that is you have police officers, you have enough police officers that can get out of the cars, that can be involved in so many different community aspects. I will say our police force really has done a very good job with that. I mean, they coach basketball teams and baseball teams. During this past year, especially with COVID, with so many of those activities being curtailed, they haven't been able to do that. So it's really important, now that we have the vaccine, now that things are getting a little bit more back to normal, that we really hit the ground running with some of those efforts.
You have been in business development for many, many years now. Let's talk about residential development, and then we'll branch out into business coming up here in just a moment. How do we responsibly develop both our residential communities and our business communities without reaching too far out on the limb?
Yeah.
Let's start with housing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've heard, in fact, my opponent said that we were overdeveloped, and I can assure you we're underdeveloped because we're out of houses. We have more realtors than we do houses on the market right now, and people are coming here. So what we need to do is just make sure that we plan and we develop responsibly. I have a big plan for affordable housing, and that is a big need here, that the city has a lot of parcels and neighborhoods that we need to leverage to make sure that we develop affordable housing using those and some other tools.
Right.
But we have the Austin site. We have the Wheeling Foundry site. When you put those two together, that's about 260 acres.
Yeah.
So we have an opportunity to think about how we want to grow our city and grow it responsibly. Development is not a bad word.
All right, we're going to talk about business developing coming up here in just a moment. We have to take a break. We're back with more with Chattanooga mayoral candidate Kim White coming up right after this.